The business. Emma James of Media Watch. Good evening.
Hi there.
1 year of Emmanuel Macron marked today, and it's not all been complimentary, has it?
No, you could say that. Although he swept to power on what was really a wave of fresh political enthusiasm, I think it's fair to say. 1 year on, it is looking at a very different picture. This kind of image from the cartoonist Nar is typical, really. Macron's first birthday at the Elysee has the French symbol Marianne putting a pie in his face saying happy birthday to you, Mr. President. And that kind of sums up really a lot of people's attitudes right now. Libération, which is a left-leaning newspaper, has this from their cartoonist. Again, a nod to this idea that he's elitist, that he believes he's above everybody else. You've got all his minions down below paying all sorts of compliments. You're the most handsome, the most intelligent. You can speak English. So lots of things really implying that he isn't a man of the people. Libération's front page is perhaps even worse. Their headline here, "The right finally has its president." Now, of course, Emmanuel Macron campaigned on a neither right nor left kind of policy. However, that isn't how many people see his presidency playing out. He is seen as very much having moved to the right, as is really summed up in this cartoon by Loïc Sécheresse. The birthday cake has the words, it's a nod to the fact that one of the things Emmanuel Macron has achieved is a change to asylum and immigration law here in France. And you will notice, if you look closely at the candle, that it is actually a police baton, a nod to police violence that we've seen on the streets here in France. And the flame is very similar to the logo of the French National Front Party. So really pointing out that his ideas aren't quite so far away from the National Front as you might have imagined when he was elected. Le Figaro you might expect to be the most politically allied with him because it's a centre-right newspaper. You might think they're singing from the same hymn sheet, if you like. They talk about Macronism having its test of power, and it's not entirely wildly flattering, this article. They say that the French people have discovered bit by bit the attributes of a thousand-sided president. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a nod to being maybe two-faced as well. But they also say, and his limits are what the French are now more familiar with. So lots of not terribly nice things being said. However, he's always said he doesn't chase popularity. In fact, there was a quote that I saw, "One must never seek to be loved because that is when you become the hostage." He wants to be judged on his actions. He says that what he does is far more important than his level of popularity. Le Monde has looked at 85 campaign promises that he made to see whether or not he's kept them. And as you can see, 45 of them are on the way to being done. 8 already have been. Only 2 have been completely dropped by the wayside.
OK. Does anybody like him?
Lots of people do like Emmanuel Macron. His popularity has dropped, according to the polls. This was a recent one from BVA, and it shows that his popularity has dropped by nearly 20% in the course of that year, 62% a year ago, 43% now. But it does seem to be the French way. If you look at François Hollande and Nicolas Sarkozy, they came off far worse at the end of their first year. If you look on Twitter, though, you'd think he's the most unpopular man in the world. This image, typical, really, of the kind of things people saying. That's a play on word because Robin Hood in French is Robin des Bois, Robin of the Woods. This is Robin des Rois, which is Robin of the Kings. Yep. And it says he takes from the poor and gives to the rich. Other people, well, this is a selfie that is supposed to be basically summing up his first year in office. And you'll notice that every face is actually his. And this one, even more simple, 1 year of Macron pure, and there's the poop emoji. If you look elsewhere, though, because after that trip to the US, he is very popular over there right now. The US magazine Forbes has called him leader of the free markets on their current issue. USA Today saying that America needs more Emmanuel Macrons, asking where are the charismatic centrists in the United States, the American Macrons, if you will. So, of course, he did do very well in the United States. He is very popular across Europe. Many people see him as the new leader of Europe. But here in France, he's got a few stumbling blocks in his way.
So, could do better, perhaps, 1 year on. Emma James, thank you very much indeed. Emma with Media Watch.